Yes.
Yeah, so we do Saturdays with Spirit. Today's episode, we're talking about animals, which is going to be really great. I think we all have a love for animals, and they hold a special place for us. So thank you for everybody tuning in today. Before we get into the questions that we're going to discuss, really deep questions today about animals, and I want everybody to introduce themselves. Okay. So I have to quickly tell them, though. So I used to work with Leyla like a million years ago. And we actually reconnected at a Tony Robbins event. Yes. And I walked in, I was like, oh my God, that's Leyla. And I recognized her husband from the photos on Facebook. So that's how we reconnected. I'm so glad we did, because now you're here and you get to share your love for animals with us. Absolutely. So go ahead and tell everybody about you.
Sure. So my name is Antonio Diaz. I'm the owner of Leader of the Pack Canine Training here in Las Vegas. And I teach people how to train their dogs, and I have my beautiful wife, Leyla, who helps me. We have a walking service as well. So basically, I started my business because I have a really innate ability to work with dogs, and I find that my passion is helping people and getting them on the right track with their dogs. So my whole business is about really helping people, educating them, and empowering them to move forward and work with their dogs in a way that is working with their life and just fits how they want to be with their dogs. So that's it. LeaderofthePackLV.com. You guys can check out my website, and feel free to message me with any questions you might have. I love it.
And again, I'm Leyla. I handle the fun part of the business.
Yeah.
I walk I walk our clients' dogs, who are all so sweet. I've always wanted, as a kid, I've always wanted dogs, always. And I didn't want just one, I wanted multiple. And so I get to live my childhood dream every day, walking these babies, because I'll have like 8 to 10 dogs with me at a time.
Modest. There's a picture on our website. There's 13 dogs she's walking, so
but I
it's
have
no
a
easy
problem.
feat.
I
She's
want,
better at it than I am too, for sure.
I want a golden retriever. I want a Yorkie. I want all these different animals or different breeds of dogs, and I get to get all of them pretty much, with me, having a blast walking them.
Yeah.
So.
I gotta see that picture. So leaderofthePackLV.com.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I gotta check that out. That's a lot of dogs.
It's another dog walking
That's like a lot of
page.
core strength you have to walk all those dogs at once.
You know what?
She wears a utility belt.
I do.
So it attaches,
But
like a
they
legit in construction utility belt.
But they're very well behaved dogs.
No, they are. I mean, we screen them. We make sure that they're all going to get along.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely impressive. It's fun to watch people drive down the road and look at Leyla, and they're just like
stop traffic.
Or I've seen people.
Well, and you're gorgeous.
Yeah,
and you've got all these dogs. Like, I think you stop any car.
And I can just see their head going. And I'm like, and I'll be like, 11. There's 11. It's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta look up that picture. That's funny. All right, Jennifer, you've been on a lot of Saturdays with Spirit, and so you're back again.
I'm back. Thank you for having me, and pleasure meeting you too.
Yeah,
I'm
likewise.
excited for what we have to talk about. My name's Jennifer. I work here at Spirit and Spark in Las Vegas. I'm a psychic medium, energy practitioner, and I teach class.
And we do the stair climber, and we talk about things, and then we go in the sauna, and we talk more. So then we come in, and we're ready to go.
And shower. My hair's still wet.
You guys went to the gym this morning?
Oh, yeah.
Good for
bless
you.
7 a.m.
Nice.
Wow. Stair climber. We did it.
Back today.
Yeah. And I'm
No, I'm
Dallisa.
gonna go
What?
I'm going to go to the gym after this.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to hold you to it.
No, I'm going for sure. I'm going.
Okay, you said it to a lot of people today.
I'm going. I'll even take a picture and post it. I'm going to go to the gym.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I'm going to the gym.
Okay.
I got a client at 1:30. I'll make it.
You'll make it.
Yeah,
You've got
I'll
plenty
make
of time.
it.
Yeah.
No
So
excuses.
I'm Dallisa. I'm the CEO of Spirit and Spark, 5th generation psychic medium. Yeah, I got a lot of business stuff going on. I'm actually like more of an entrepreneur by trade, and I just happen to be a 5th generation psychic medium.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. So Spirit and Spark is based in Las Vegas. We have clients all over the place. So we do a lot of phone sessions, Skype. We have people that come from all over the country and come here to do certifications, which is really cool.
Wow.
So, yeah, hello to everybody. Do us a favor. If you're watching right now, can you comment and let us know where you're watching from? I was looking at the comments from last week, and we have people from outside of the U.S., so it's fun to see, like, the country they're watching from. So just comment, let us know, and We appreciate you tuning in and spending some time with us today. So as we said, the topic for today is about animals and the spirit of animals. So why do you think animals are so important to people?
I'll jump into that one. Well, for many different reasons. I mean, speaking from the perspective of like working with dogs, dogs have been in our lives for millennia. So they're not only just family members, but they're workers, they're teammates. And I know personally for me, they provide a level of unconditional love that I cannot find anywhere else, you know, just being able to come home and
I think your wife has a problem with that unconditional love statement. Just saying.
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. But if I don't, but if I leave a paper towel on the counter, my dog does not get mad at me. So she's excluded from the unconditional love. I mean, seriously. So, like I said, they provide a level of unconditional love. Paper towel or no paper towel. He's
doubling down on that one. Okay.
That, you know, is just is unmatched. So, you know, their energy is just so pure, and it's a beautiful thing. So, that's my answer.
I agree. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. I think they give a level of companionship that feeds our souls.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like when you have a connection with an animal, like, your heart expands.
I was just going to say, when you have that connection, you know, you have to be open to that too, because there are, you know, there are a lot of people that may argue that, but when you're open to that on that vibrational frequency, like there's many things that will come to you when you're open to them, you know, so.
Yeah. From experience and, you know, with my dog, sometimes I'll just look into their eyes, and I know it sounds really mushy, but I literally start crying sometimes. It's just this feeling, like it's undescribable. Their love, it truly is unconditional.
My shepherd is like that. When I come home, she knows exactly what to do to get my attention. She'll come and sit against my leg and like look up at me. And so I just kind of like stroke her on her neck and just stare at her, and it's just really beautiful because I just feel a lot of love from her, you know. And we've talked about this many times, and Leyla will tell me how she'll look at Brooklyn and cry, but it's like, I don't know, man. I look at her and it's like there's just something about her. It's almost like she's just dog filled with wisdom, and she's just got this presence to her. And even around other dogs, it's amazing. She's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. She is the one who kind of controls the tempo of things. Like, she's super calm. Things don't get to her, and I've kind of seen her check other dogs, and they're just immediately like, okay. And it's really cool to watch.
They all have like their own personality.
Absolutely,
and energy.
100%,
And,
yes.
Oh yeah.
I tell people all the time. I tell my clients, like, your dog is an individual and they're unique, and we have to treat them as such. So when I'm working with them, and I don't train every dog the same, and I don't work with every person. If you have 4 dogs, then we're going to work with each dog as an individual and not just kind of group them into some, like, this is the one method way, you know. So
I like that.
I love that. Yeah.
Do you ever notice how people pick dogs that are identical to them
Yes.
and act exactly the same?
Yeah. Or if they don't, you know what's funny though is that dogs are alliomimetic, which basically means they mimic. So it's funny because Layla's often made jokes about Brooklyn, my shepherd, being just like me in a lot of different ways, and Minnie like her. And so, yeah, but at the same time, have you ever noticed how some people look like their dogs?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Really? Oh, yeah, well, she got the little salt and pepper.
She when we first
I wish
got
you
her,
could pull up a picture
when she was
of her.
puppy, she was, for the most part, had a black coat. She had a few
Dark
little,
black.
like, what would you say, like caramel mixed in with a little bit of gray.
She's a sable.
Yeah, and now she's graying out everywhere. I'm like, oh, you guys are so cute. You match.
We have like matching. She's gray around her muzzle, like me, and then here. It's funny.
Yeah, they match.
Yeah.
That is funny. Sarah's helping us out with production today, and she said there's a question that came in.
Yeah, someone tuned in a little late, and since we were talking about you training again, they wanted to know the name of your business.
Sure, thanks for asking.
They got to hear it before they tuned out.
Leader of the Pack. Leader of the Pack LV is my website, leaderofthePackLV.com. And then I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as Leader of the Pack LV. I think Instagram is leader of the pack _LV. Yes. So yeah, if you guys could follow, that'd be great. I'm trying to build my presence and be making videos soon. So really stay tuned. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I'm glad we could get some plugs in. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so why do you feel like animals are a strong companion for us in this lifetime? Like, what do you feel like animals are bringing to us while we are here as humans?
Well, for me, my number one thing would be patience and stillness and a level of just like embracing the moment for me. Like my dogs have just taught me so much about being patient and, you know, working with dogs, because we can't tell them like, hey, go over there and be quiet, and they don't understand that. So you have to teach them. And for me, especially the way that I grew up, I grew up in New York, and it was just kind of rough. So I'm very much like this kind of, I have a rough exterior. And so my dogs have taught me to be much more patient and calm and sort of soft, if you will. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's something that they bring that, you know, again, it's unbelievable.
The power of presence.
Yes.
Okay.
I almost want to say
great.
The power of now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you think animals are with us?
Mine teach me, and patience as well. I believe they choose us. And I notice my dog that I have, she's a Shih Tzu. And when I got her, I had attachment issues. I don't like I do. Like I don't now like I did, but I look at her, I'm like, oh, you can't be alone. That was how I was. Like she always has to be by me. If I'm outside, she'll stay outside. Because at that time, I felt really lonely. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 kids. And I was like, I'm not having any more kids, so I'm going to get a dog. And I noticed that I see that in her. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It was almost like a mirror for you.
I was just going to say, animals can mirror.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Just like kids can.
Yeah. You know, and working with clients, and many clients, I've actually helped them with, like, through their dogs, help them to become more calm. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my favorite things, is when I can connect with people on a different level and help them through working with their dog become more calm, more present, you know. And I've had a lot of people that kind of like freak out. There's one woman comes to mind specifically. Her dog was kind of dog aggressive, but she really wasn't. She was actually just kind of afraid, the dog was. Mm-hmm. And so the owner was really, really fearful. And so I helped her to become more calm, and her dog was like the medium for that, helping her. So it was really great. And I could talk about this stuff all day. So how long do we have? Yeah. I'm still going to the
Facebook
gym, though.
cuts us off. Yeah, right? Yeah. You are. Okay, so do you think that animals are with us lifetime after lifetime? Because we talked a little bit about reincarnation before we got on the air. Mm-hmm. And so I think we're all of the camp of, we believe that there are multiple lifetimes in reincarnation. So do you feel like animals are with us, or the same animals with us?
I would like to think so. I feel like if we reincarnate, I mean, that's my personal belief, then animals would do the same thing. We all have a purpose. You know, animals have a purpose. Humans have a purpose to learn different things, to experience different things. So I would really like to think that our dogs, you know, come back over and over into our lifetimes, because I love them and I want to see them again. So
I feel like, again, my shepherd, I feel like I've known her beyond this life, you know, and that's just the connection I get. That's the feeling. That's that, you know, and it's hard to really put into words. It's something that you feel. It's not just a matter of like, I know, she told me, but yeah, I feel that way for sure. And then like my very first dog, when I was a kid, her name was Tonka, and it's almost funny because Leyla swears that Brooklyn
was Tonka.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever seen that movie, A Dog's Life?
No. It looks really sad.
Dog's Purpose?
I think it's
where
Purpose.
They come back.
I don't.
Was it? Yeah.
It's a good movie.
I don't like tearjerkers.
Fair enough. But I mean, I think it's possible. I don't really think that. I don't know. You think she was Tonka.
I don't
for
know.
sure,
There's
but-
times where I'm like, Tonka, and she turns around. I'm like, Tonka, and she turns I don't know.
But I think we proved that to be not true.
It's a fun idea, you know,
Yeah.
to pass.
But
think about.
in other lives, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you think that dogs, when we look at reincarnation and this lifetime and other lifetimes, do you think that animals always stay animals?
I was to say I don't think so. I look into a lot of this stuff, and I think that there are levels to it. But I also have come to believe that if you have, let's say, you've elevated, then you don't digress, right? So you always continue moving forward. You may not move forward fast or right away, but you don't turn. You won't come back as like a dog. You're going to come back as a more enlightened spiritual being, as an example. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely. I know dealing with a lot of dogs, you could see just the feeling that you get, right? Where there's certain dogs where you're just like, wow, you know, you're fairly new on this earth, aren't you? And you know, they're older. It's not like it's a puppy. It's a grown, you know, middle-aged dog, and wow, you're so new at this.
You're
it's
so young.
cute.
Yeah.
And there's other dogs where you look at them and like, man, you're so wise. You are so wise, and that wisdom also, you know, it's from like a year old. It's not.
Yeah.
You're not looking at an older dog and saying that. So I really do. I believe that animals do reincarnate and they move forward as.
It's a great point, because I think we experience that with people as well.
Yeah.
You can kind of, in a conversation, say, wow, you're new around this block. Good luck.
Got a lot to learn.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense then. So maybe through each lifetime and each, you know, reincarnation, you evolve and you become a more evolved being. And so, yeah, I could see why you would see that. So then I'm wondering, as I think about this, I wonder if the same would be true for any kind of animal. That any kind of animal could have progression through evolution and evolving their spirit. So, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. But why not? But why not?
No, I agree. Yeah.
Why would it be unique to just dogs? Maybe it's cats. Maybe it's anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, you know, obviously we're talking about dogs because that's what we're most familiar with.
Yeah.
But this definitely, in my opinion, goes across the board to any animal.
Yeah. So do you think that animals have the same energy and spirit that we do? Are we all of the same consciousness? Are we all of the same source energy?
I lean
Definitely
towards
from the source, the same source energy. Absolutely. Like I said before, you know, we all have a different purpose. But when it comes to where we come from, it's I would say it's the same source.
I think we're all just a different manifestation of the same source, the same one God, whatever you want to call it, you know.
Yeah, and all connected to make that full circle of life. We're all really important, from, like we kind of discussed earlier, from, you know, the little tiny ants to the tigers and the lions to humans. We all play a major role in coexisting and making this work. Without one, there's no.
Yeah.
Well, I think we learn a lot from each other, animals and humans alike, you know.
Absolutely.
You can, I mean, I think of so many examples right now, but even just watching birds make a nest, it could give you an idea of like, oh wow, you know. I'll use that as an example of how I want to create something of my own. And so right then and there, you just got help from another animal. So
yeah, well, I just saw not too long ago, it's a video that went viral, and it was this elephant who was, I don't know if you guys saw it, but he or she was picking up trash and throwing it in the trash bin.
Aww.
And it was the coolest thing to see. And I mean, that just, I've always believed and known that animals are very sophisticated in their own way, but to see that was very beautiful. And it was kind of sad too, because, you know, here you have an animal cleaning up human waste, but at the same time it shows how absolutely intelligent they are. So.
Yeah. Okay, you want to move to a big question?
sure, go for it.
Because we haven't already done it. What do you make of Noah's Ark?
What do I make?
Yeah,
of
do
it?
you think like it happened? Do you think that there was an ark?
Yeah. So, okay, I lean towards yes. And, you know, I'm not a religious person by any means, however, there are like specials on it. It's called Mount Ararat, Ararat.
Yeah.
And so like look into it. It's really, really interesting. But apparently they found the Ark, and not only that, but they've also found the anchors nearby the site.
Oh, wow.
And then there's lots and lots of evidence of a flood as well. Because when you talk about the Ark, you've got to go, okay, well, was there a flood? And so I believe yes, and I'm into all this stuff. So I do a lot of like, researching, I guess you could say, on my spare time. But yeah, I find it really, really interesting. And yeah, I do think that there was an Ark, and I do think that there was a flood.
How'd they get all the animals on there?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Well, so I don't believe that it was like, anyone went out and gathered each animal, but rather it was more of a knowing, of a calling. So this is another interesting topic. So there's a woman called, her name is Anna Breitenbach. If you look her up, she's called an animal whisperer or like telepathic animal communicator. And there's this whole special on her, and it's really, really cool to watch. I believe we're all capable of it, but this woman especially has the ability to communicate with animals. And I think that when we talk about the Ark, that was more likely what happened. It wasn't a matter of him going out and like hand-picking animals, but rather sort of a calling to them. And just a knowing, and we've all got that. If you think about a time in your life where you've had this instinct where there was something inside of you that told you something, who's to say that you couldn't experience that on an everyday basis if you were more in tune with that, So that's my take on how it all went down, so.
Well, I also think that, too, if you look at, we as a society today are unfortunately a little bit more disconnected with animals.
Nature.
Absolutely nature, versus in those times and generations before us, those people were more connected to nature. They were more connected to animals. We were talking about how people were using birds to communicate messages. So it's very much possible that he, like Antonio said, he wasn't literally going out there and hand-picking them and luring them in. It was more of just this communication of telepathic, whatever you want to call it, to get them into the Ark. I can't speak right now. Sorry, guys.
You're doing great.
Need some water?
But that brings us to the next question about Noah's Ark then, about the flood. So would you say then that the flood happened? You said that you did some research about the flood as well, right? And the mention of the anchors.
Correct. So I do believe that the flood happened. There is evidence of a flood. I can't think off the top of my head like where to look, but that's something I just encourage anyone that's interested in it, or even up for a fun debate, to go check it out and see for yourself. So
yeah, there's actually two. When we were like watching all the videos and research on Noah's Ark, there's a lot of aerial shots that have been made that show the outline of the Ark in the mountain. But I believe there's also a tour that they do in that region where they actually found there was a civilization that was in that area at some point, and they take you through it and they show you all these things that that they have access to. So it's something that you could definitely see on your own. I've actually been really interested to go and check it out one day.
It's in Turkey.
Oh, Turkey. Yeah, it's beautiful there.
It's the mountain, if I'm not mistaken, it's in between Turkey and Armenia.
Oh, okay. Wow, I bet that's a beautiful, part of the world. Okay. Yeah. Noah's Ark?
Yeah, I believe. There's everything. And I do believe that they were just called there. I don't believe that someone brought them. I believe that we all speak to each other. It's whether or not you're listening. And their senses are heightened. I feel that they came on the boat to carry that that bloodline or that race. I mean, they say on heaven and the new earth and the fifth dimension that we're all living together. And as we see with the uprising with veganism, vegetarian, it's starting to happen.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the future, but that's also was our past as well.
Yeah.
Like full circle.
Yeah, we're all living together, communicating, loving
The
one
golden
another.
age.
Hey,
We're headed there. Yeah, and it reminds me of like before a tsunami, there are numerous stories about animals that start running away to higher ground before anyone even knows that there's anything that's about to happen.
Yep.
And so they look to animals for that indication. So it could have been some kind of summon like that that played a role in the ark. So it's very interesting. I know. Woo!
Confirmation.
Okay, so let's talk about things like rodents and bugs and scorpions and ants and sharks. And so do we think that everything is created equal? And then we're going to talk about bugs and whether or not you kill bugs.
All right.
Oh, no.
So I think so. Yeah. Well, we have to remember where we are, where we live. We live in the realm of duality and separation. So it's our, for some of us, it's our, I don't know how to say it, more like a journey to rediscover that oneness, that we all come from. I think, we all are one. Is that the question, right?
Yeah, like are all animals created equal? Like regardless if they're
so.
like the ant or the
Absolutely.
scorpion or the shark?
Yeah.
I think so. I 100% think so because, like I said, it's a full circle. Without bees, we won't have pollen. We don't have pollen. We don't have trees, plants, fruit, everything, right? So they're the core on making life sustainable on Earth, right? So if a bee being that small has such a huge purpose and such importance, why wouldn't an ant? Why wouldn't a scorpion? My favorite, but why wouldn't a scorpion? I think that yes, 100%. They're all created equally for their own purpose.
Okay, so then do you kill bugs?
I try not to.
I did, but I don't anymore.
Yeah. I used to, but I don't.
Yeah.
If I find a bug in my house, I will trap it and then let it outside. And Leyla disagrees.
It's not that I disagree. It's just lately we've been having an issue with scorpions, and I have a 6-pound little dog in the house, and she's not elevated. She's on the ground, and she'll be in the area where we found them. So to me, is it her or is it the scorpion? And I'm going to pick my dog. She's my baby, so sorry.
We
I
found
feel
4
bad.
scorpions in our house.
Well, in Las Vegas, in the desert, and new construction and everything else, we have a tendency to get scorpions. So
For sure.
I understand in having a dog, and you want to protect your dog and your family, and it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I
Mama
won't
bear, protect me.
Mama bear. Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about communicating with animals telepathically and psychically.
Okay.
Because I think we're all in agreement that we can communicate with animals. We've kind of covered a little bit during our conversation so far about that. But have you ever had an experience where you were able to actually communicate with an animal?
Diaz.
Yeah.
Of course Antonio has.
Well, I think there's been more than one occasion where it's happened, but there's just one specific time recently where I actually really tried to, like, I made a conscious effort to do it. I think when I'm working with dogs and clients, things come to me and it's just so natural for me that I don't even realize it, that I'm getting some sort of feedback. And it's really cool, but now that I think about it, it's like it really just happens very organically. But so long story short, I had just finished watching this documentary about this woman, Anna Breitenbach, and I went into my meditation room and I took this dog that I was working with with me. And so I decided to be elevated, so I'm up on the massage table and legs crossed, and I go really deep into my meditation. So I've got ear protectors on, like for the shooting range, for example. So I can't hear anything, and I've got a blindfold on. And but this dog, her name is Lucy. She was whining, she was whining a lot, and it was kind of frustrating. It was like, okay, I'm trying to meditate, so I was like, let me just be still and try to get her to stop. So I was like, why are you, in my mind, I was kind of asking her, like, why are you crying? Why are you whining? Why won't you stop? And immediately I received this image of the heater that I had on the floor and the word hot. And so obviously I was thinking she's telling me she's hot. So I said, okay, well, go lay by the door, because I have a yoga mat by the door, and there's a little like 1-inch gap. Whoever the builders are apparently didn't put that door all the way down to the floor. So there's a little gap where there's an airway that comes into the floor or to the room. So I just had this image in my mind of her laying on the yoga mat and by the door to get a little bit of a cool breeze. And I told that I'll be done in like 5 or 10 minutes. And I kid you not, she was whining like a lot for like a few minutes. And then as soon as I had that image, had that conversation with her in my mind,
silently,
yes,
telepathically.
silently.
Okay,
Yeah, it stopped
because you had your blindfold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there like in a meditative position or pose, and she stopped. And so in my mind, of course, I'm kind of like, all right, no, she's gonna start whining again. And like 30 seconds goes by and she's not, I don't hear anything. And at this point, the funny thing to me was I was actually trying to get her to stop whining so that I could focus on my meditation. But when she stopped whining, I couldn't focus on my meditation because I was like, did I just literally tell her to do this?
Telepathically.
And yeah, telepathically. And I had to look. So about 2 or 3 minutes after I had, instructed her to go lay down, I like pull up my blindfold, and there she was laying at the head of the yoga mat near the door. And I was just like, all right, I'm convinced. That's it. So that was my experience. And I think that, I love looking into these type of things. Native Americans have said for many, many years that they were able to communicate with animals, animal trackers. It's not just a matter of like finding footprints and finding broken twigs and leaves in the forest. They were communicating with these animals and just using some physical evidence to help guide them on their path to them. And so, and we would talk about our current situation socially, all the distractions and things like that, and the suppression of this type of information about how connected we really are. To me, it makes perfect sense, to be able to have that connection. I mean, I can think of multiple examples, like with Leyla and I personally. I remember one time we were in a store, and what was it that you were really interested in? Was it turmeric? And I found turmeric in the store, and in my mind, I didn't say anything, but I got really excited, and I was like, babe, they have it. And then like 2 minutes later, I saw her, and she was like, were you calling me?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
I swear I heard you call me.
yeah, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, well, I was, but not out loud, not verbally, but in my mind, I was just it was like so direct to her that I was like thoroughly impressed. And I've had different situations in meditations where I've had this incoming sort of something tell me that like my meditation was gonna be interrupted, and then sure enough, 30 seconds later, my meditation was interrupted, and it was just like, okay.
Yeah. So
to be able to do that with people, I think is just more, how do I say this, more easily accessible because we're humans, right? But I also think that we do have the ability to communicate with animals. So you just have to really put yourself there. So.
Well, I think too, we all come from the same place, from the one source, right? And we're all energy. So it would make sense. You can communicate with animals. I mean, there's even documentaries of people communicating with plants.
Yes.
And they had these plants hooked up, and you could see the energy vibration shift as people were talking to plants, or even to food, to water, and freezing it and seeing the difference between love
Dr.
and hate.
Emoto.
So, I mean, yes, 100%. I think that if you meditate and you come into that place of stillness and clarity, you could absolutely communicate with animals and other things.
Yeah. So do you think animals are with us when we go to the other side?
Heck yeah. Well, we've seen them. We see them. We're like,
I know we see it on a regular basis.
Yeah, we're like, oh, your dog's here. Do you have a dog? Or did you have a dog? Because it's running around.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah.
I watch a lot of near-death experience videos, and I find them really intriguing. And a lot of people that have had close animals say that they've seen them when they passed. I think for sure. I don't see why not. Especially with the kind of connection. I mean, again, working with so many different clients, and it's just, you can tell that they how much they love their dogs. I mean, people have like little shrines of dogs that have passed, with their little paw print and their collar and their tags, and there's no doubt in my mind that when they pass, that dog's going to be waiting for them for sure.
Yeah. I grew up in the Seattle area, and my pediatrician was one of the country's leading experts on near-death experience in children. And so I would walk into the office, and I remember as a kid seeing little drawings from all these kids that had these near-death experiences all over the walls. And then years later at UNLV, I studied with Dr. Raymond Moody, who's one of the leading experts on near-death experiences in general across the world. And there's a lot of consistencies with near-death experiences, and one of them is seeing loved ones, including animals.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that's not mainstream, but,
It is now.
It is now.
Yeah, exactly.
It is now. Before we went on the air, we were talking about spirit animals and how each of us have felt like an animal that's come through, and we felt like the spirit of an animal. Why do you think sometimes we get an animal that steps forward, and it wouldn't be necessarily one that you had, as a pet, but one that feels like it's coming forward with either a message or something? Why do you think that happens? Do you think it's that they're a messenger and they're trying to give us guidance and information?
Absolutely. I know I had an experience. Leyla and I had traveled to Peru. We experienced ayahuasca, and in one of my experiences, I had this really, really vivid vision of an eagle, and I was with the eagle, and we were just talking about spirit animals the day before, and in this experience, this vision, I knew that was my spirit animal, and but I also heard that you can have multiple ones. And so I saw a medium as well, and they told me that I had a large dog, as it was my totem.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm not too familiar with what the difference is in the two.
I don't know either.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard Native American totems.
Yeah, so I think it's really similar. It's kind of the same thing. It's just another word or expression of it. But but the eagle was really meaningful to me at that time, because it represented like being a leader and moving forward, and and I was surprised that my business name is Leader of the Pack. So it was it's amazing, and Leyla has her own experience with it too.
Yeah, well, before we touch base on mine, what we thought was very interesting too is after the ceremony the next day, there was a native, like a tribe.
A tribe,
from
in
Peru,
the jungles of Peru.
And besides, spending time with us and kind of letting us into their culture and their traditional dances and whatnot, they had a bunch of different jewelry that they make to sell. And they had this one piece, and it was an eagle.
Yeah, an eagle's head. Yeah, so just like Native Americans, how they would save or create decorations or jewelry off of the body parts to continue to use them. This was an eagle's head, and it was just really interesting because they only had the one, and it was literally the next day. And I was still kind of experiencing what I had went through the night before. So it was very, very profound for me, and very much, very strong. And to see that was just more of a sign. We talk about synchronicities and signs and things like that. And this was just one for me that it was like spot on. I couldn't believe it. It made my day. It really did.
For me also, through ayahuasca, I kept having this image of this beautiful black panther just pop up, these piercing blue, almost purple eyes. And at first I was like, okay, but it kept popping up. I'm like, okay, are you my spirit animal? And I had this confirmation, which I thought was very interesting. Later on, after when we came back to the States, I'm like, I'm just curious, what does it mean? And when I looked it up, it couldn't be more on point with me, with my life, what's going on, and the message it was sending me. And to this day, it's still very, I think, relevant for me. And it's just kind of really interesting because anytime I see, a Black Panther, it's just this, like, innate, I don't even...
Connection,
yes, I'm just like, wow, it just pulls me. I do believe that, during maybe different times of your life, different animals come to tell you, pass on a message to you, and when that message is done, purpose is done, then maybe you see another one.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, do you ever feel like there's a spirit animal that pops up for you more frequently maybe or recently?
Yeah, recently this just happened. So my cousin Frankie was passing away. I had no idea. I woke up from a dream and I saw a dog that he had. And then as the middle of the night I woke up, I saw this dog, and then I hear my dad on the phone saying, oh, your cousin, he's in the hospital. Well, so he was saying goodbye to me and telling me in a dream. So I was like, okay. So the other day, just a few days ago, there was a client. We were working on psychic abilities and mediumship. So I go, pull in my cousin Frankie. Just pull him in and see what happens. And then she said, I see a dog. And she saw that dog, and that was him telling me that was him. And I was like, wow. And it touched me. And she knew things that I didn't tell her. And it was the dog.
Wow, that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. Spirit and Spark has had like an owl that protects Spirit and Spark. We have like a little tiny white owl by the front door. You probably didn't see it, but he's hiding in the water fountain. But owls are very protective. So I wrote down a couple of popular spirit animals. Anybody watching, if you feel like you have a spirit animal, comment and let us know what spirit animal you feel it comes forward for you. And there are all kinds of websites and stuff. You can type in like spirit animal, whatever, and it will tell you exactly why that animal is coming forward. But an owl is about like universal energy, powerful, protective energy. Butterfly, you can probably guess what the butterfly is, but a lot of change, transformation. It can also signal like a death and a rebirth because of the caterpillar and the cocoon and all of that. Spiders, we love bugs. It's about creating the life that you actually want, and a lot of feminine energy, because you think of like the spider in the middle and then the web and like building out the life that you want and the foundation. Crow, which is not exactly like an eagle, but in the bird family. Magic and mysteries, and higher perspective, and a need to have more flexibility in your life. So those are some of the ones that we found. But yeah, let us know which spirit animal you feel called to. So before we close this out, I want to go ahead and just, again, kind of tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. LeaderOfThePackLV.com. You can check out my Facebook, Leader of the Pack LV, and Instagram, LeaderOfThePack_LV. And
give Leyla some more dogs to walk.
So I know, exactly. Yeah, we definitely need more dogs to walk. So it's steadily growing, and we're really grateful to everyone that supports us, likes us, follows us, and all my clients that I've had and will have in the future. So
that's awesome.
Thanks for sharing your babies.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for having us. You had so much wisdom and knowledge to bring to this conversation.
Thank you.
I'm so glad it worked out, and I happened to see you, which is no accident.
That's right.
A month or so ago, but I'm glad you could come on the show today.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
Yes, it's been such a pleasure talking about stuff like this, because you literally have two things that we are so passionate about: spirituality and animals. Combined it in one.
Yeah,
so.
I'm like, what do you mean we're done?
I know, I was going to say,
maybe we'll have another episode.
Yeah,
we'll have another episode.
If you want us to come back, put a little ring in there, or some thumbs up or something. We'll come back. I'd love to come back.
Okay, so where can people find you?
SpiritandSpark.com.
Right here.
Yeah, Jennifer is one of our most popular psychic mediums on the team. Her classes are really popular, so yeah, she's great. Yeah, SpiritandSpark.com. We have our class calendar on there. March classes are listed, and we have request a session, so you can get a phone session, or if you're here in Las Vegas, come and see us in person. And
Cool.
I'm Dallisa. I'm running the show around here. So thanks so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
That was super fun. Yeah, so we'll shut down our Facebook feed in just a moment. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.